Hi, welcome to the Closet Philosophy podcast. This is Janine. I'm a personal stylist.
And this is Kristen. I'm a fashion writer, and we're here to uncover the ways that your personal style is so much more than just clothes.
Whether you realize it or not, what you wear touches on science, psychology, culture, politics, and so much more. Today's guest is someone who approaches personal style with both precision and poetry. Wale Sanni is a millennial stylist known for his sharp eye, refined taste, and philosophy that blends timeless wardrobe strategy with deeply personal expression. As a stylist, he's helped countless women curate wardrobes that don't just look expensive, they live well. His approach is grounded in longevity, quality, intentional dressing, and deep thought, much of which he talks about on his social media channels, Style by Wale, on Instagram and TikTok. Wale is also the co-founder of Nero Chicago, a luxury handbag line redefining modern elegance, most notably with the Revere bag, designed for women who want their accessories to signal taste, confidence, and staying power. In this episode, we're diving into closet philosophy, how to build a wardrobe that lasts, speaks, and evolves. And yes, we're definitely talking bags.
Wale, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to meet you virtually. And I would love to hear more about your story. And this is going to be a two-part question. So I'm curious, what drew you into the world of styling and how did that evolve into creating Nero Chicago? And then we also really need to hear what you thought of the Met Gala.
Perfect. I love all of those opportunities. To first start off, how I first started was in 2013, I started working at Macy's. And initially, I was a sneakerhead. I used to collect shoes. I would repaint them, do all these things to them. And a buddy of mine was like, dude, I think you'd be fantastic in women's shoes. And I was like, are you sure, dude? I'm like, I'm all about basketball and all those things. He's like, no, I think you'd be fantastic. Worked at Macy's, and the most interesting thing was seeing how people felt about product differently versus men versus women, and seeing the evolution of how product can allow you to express yourself. So I was like, you know what? Nordstrom's on the other end. Nordstrom was always this like big idea that people in Macy's felt like they were underneath to understand. You know, it was a different type of client at the time. So I was like, let me go to Nordstrom. Oddly enough, it was the same people, same clients, buying the same thing, having a different experience, just different price tag, right? So then I was like, why don't I go to the top? I already went to Nordstrom. I didn't think I could do this. So here we are. We went to Neiman's and Saks, and funny enough, same customers, same clients, buying the same thing, right? So in that, I developed with my customers from going from Macy's to Saks and seeing their evolution and understanding why they transformed into this person that I was assisting. And that helped me as I'm here today to give you the opinions that come from them, not from me. I'm just the megaphone that they have spoken to me, the ideas. So that's how this journey started from Macy's in 2013, which has been like what? How long is that? Past decade now?
Yeah. Wow. That's super interesting that it was the same. You assumed you were going to encounter like a different type of client, but they were like the same, buying the same stuff. That's
Yeah,
really surprising to me.
What
yeah.
about them was the same?
The same thing was that the clients were looking for the exact same experience. The product was just different.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, okay.
so, so I think a lot of the times we differentiate ourselves by these indicators of status when we all are craving underneath the exact same desire. And it's sometimes hard for us to figure that out because we separate ourselves so much through idea that we don't understand the foundational rationality behind desire. So
Wow. So what is this desire?
this desire is to feel accepted and loved by a community of people that agree with your ideologies.
Wow. That's so true though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
And that's like, yeah. Yeah.
for,
No,
for
go ahead.
like for an example, explaining to someone in 2025 that Jessica Simpson had an amazing shoe line that women wanted is very difficult to wrap your head around, right? But
Mhm.
Yeah.
in 2012 or 2011, we all understood and desired to understand Jessica Simpson's the aura of her at the time. Tuna tastes like chicken, blah blah blah, et cetera, right?
Yeah, that is that, that also kind of dovetails with the Met Gala question because that was a vibe that of inclusion and, feeling like everybody, sort of believed in the same things you believed in, like the aesthetic that everybody was bringing to the Met Gala. So, I mean, that's what I kind of felt, but I'm super curious to hear what you felt about the Met Gala.
I don't even want to say necessarily controversial opinion.
Oh no, say it.
Say it, say it.
Yeah, we welcome
Like,
controversy.
yeah. I love controversial opinion. That's why I have you on because you always like say the thing.
Yeah, and what I said is from my like white lady perspective. So what you say is going to be much more interesting.
I did not want a single second of the
Oh
Met
no,
Gala.
real
And I'm
wow.
going to tell
Okay.
you why. I'm going to tell you why. I believe the Met Gala is losing its way in a
Hmm.
very interesting uh, time, in a time where exclusion is actually more valuable than inclusion because
Hmm.
exclusion allows you to really refine the purpose of the vision.
Mhm.
So, with the inclusion of the Met Gala, and I think these ideologies that they don't even have the framework to really express, we lose sight of what the Met Gala was supposed to be.
Mm.
For a great example, and not to bring this to an Elon Musk thing, I don't want to go, and that's a whole another topic for another day. I don't think he was trying to make a great Mustang when he made a Tesla car because he had to figure out exactly what made Tesla special to make it contrast to the times of today. And I think inclusion is trying to make everything one instead of defining. For example, I don't think many people watching Met Gala have any understanding of what the Met Gala is really for.
I think
It's
they
a
think it's about the
fundraiser.
red carpet and they don't realize that there's an actual exhibit that is
Yeah,
in the museum.
which is
Yeah.
what the entire thing is for. And I think because the inclusion of what the Met Gala is now, I think it's losing its purpose of what it really is to preserve, which is the costumes, these echo chambers of fashion that almost, and I'm curious to hear your points too. I don't even think really anyone understood the theme of 2025.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
from my much less educated than yours perspective, I felt that some people did and some people didn't. Like, I don't know. Personally, I thought, and I could be completely wrong, but I thought like Doechii kind of nailed it. I don't know if you
Mhm.
saw her outfit, but I mean, I love what she's been doing with menswear. I thought she looked cool and like kind of what I would think of as kind of a dandy, but
Yeah,
like I said, I'm not as educated. And then I liked Tracy Ellis Ross's outfit. I thought she kind of nailed it too. And then her mom's outfit was like over the top with the train and everything. I don't know how
yeah.
that was really dandy, but um
Yeah.
but anyway, I thought there were some interesting things there, but it is a good point that I don't know that very many people understand what it's really for, and your point about inclusion is very interesting.
Something I think about, you remember going to a baseball game or a basketball game or sports event just 20 to 15 years ago? It was people who came to watch an event, which was sports.
Hmm.
And then you watch a sporting game today, it's 90 ads and 20 minutes of game. And I think
Yeah.
Hmm.
sometimes we lose the purpose of what the event is for in the hopes of advertising to the masses of something.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
did see a couple of the looks. I thought Janelle Monáe and Tom Brown, I thought that was fantastic. You can never really go wrong with it.
That
Tom
was
Brown
such a
is, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
no, oh no, I just thought that was such a like a cool moment when
Yeah,
they just open
Oh
she was like a
yeah.
Russian doll. Like it was just like, oh, like she always nails it though, like in terms
yeah.
of like her imagination with style and her risk taking. And so yeah,
Yeah.
no, she that was really cool.
And
Yeah.
personally, I don't know. I mean, I know we talked about not getting political, but I think it's okay for us to get a little bit political, but I mean, we're political. I just really liked seeing a celebration of Black culture in such a on such a large scale in the face of what's going on in our country right now. Like
Mhm.
I like felt like it was a sort of joyful thing, and but that is obviously from my perspective. I'd be curious if you have any take on that at all.
My take is I think that this would have been an excellent opportunity for the individuals who were at the time period of defining what dandyism is to express what that is versus the Met Gala telling us what they want us to represent as dandyism.
Mm.
Hmm.
I think that there's plenty of people who have archived that time and we have no expression of what, and us not knowing what the theme was is pretty much the summary of the problem is who's the people who categorize what dandyism is and where do we have the opinion or the opportunity to hear their voices of what it is, because we just took it as it's going to be the interpretation of what Tom Brown, Marc Jacobs of Louis Vuitton tells us what dandyism is, which is a full circle problem to the entire root of dandyism in the first place.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because it's not like really honoring like who created the dandy aesthetic or who created it's like they're like secondhand like interpretations. They're not like the true form of who's actually doing the creation of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Like
so
if we go into every theme and every theme is defined by five designers, how really accurate are we getting the representation of the theme?
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, but it's kind of like this funny thing. Like it makes me think of like going and traveling nowadays. Like anytime like you go and you travel, it's always like the same stores anywhere in the world. It's always they may be different stores, but they all carry the same designers,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like it doesn't matter like, oh, I bought this like Prada thing in Milan, cool, but that same thing is also available in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so it's like it just is kind of like it speaks to the whole idea of like homogenization and globalization in the fashion industry, that it's like, you know, like who are the creators and like where are the structures of power and stuff. And so it's like my thought is like it sounds like what you're saying is that they're paying homage to Black dandyism by wearing clothes by like white designers.
In yeah, in the simplest way of
Yeah.
removing the people who told the story that are still alive to tell it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I go to McDonald's and I want to get a Big Mac. If they ever say they make a beef tartare, I don't think I want to order it.
I'm with you on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No raw
speak
meat from McDonald's, please.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't want to see how you do it.
No, not interested.
but speaking about style, I mean, we're gonna do like a quick segue here, but like you talk
Mhm.
a lot about like timeless style. And so I'm wondering, what do you think that people get wrong about trying to build a wardrobe that lasts?
That it has nothing to do with the clothes.
Hmm. Do you want to
Uh,
elaborate on that?
yeah, I would love to elaborate on that. There is a the rose shirt that I can have that will never mean more to me than my state championship basketball t-shirt. I'm sure it's made by way better fabrics. I'm sure it's been milled at a better cotton mill than this, state t-shirt that I have. But I think the thing that we really miss and disconnect from style is how do you feel in the product?
Mm.
What's the internal representation that you're using clothes to be externally represent to others? So something that's really fascinating working in luxury fashion stores is that it's easier to sell luxury products because people are coming into the store with a better energy because they're acknowledging that they can afford these items versus going at a being a stylist at a thrift store would be much more difficult than being a stylist at Neiman's. I think so.
Like how
Mm.
so? Why?
Because the client would have to already accept that they're enough to be styled, then you would have to actually style them.
Mm.
So they would have to be willing to accept love first before you could teach them how to love someone.
That's pretty profound.
That is really profound.
I that is that's cool. That made me a little teary.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, because that's kind of what we're all about. And we just did a whole well, we just did an episode with a woman who's a thrift stylist. And she, oh my God, I can't believe I just got teary. I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's fine.
I, um, and you know, she talked a lot about that, like, you know, accepting who you are and then going out and finding what speaks to you is kind of what thrifting is about. But that's kind of like a very different mentality when you walk into a luxury goods store. You're like, is what you're saying is that people know that they can get that status from what they're going to buy more than anything else? Is that kind
Correct.
of, yeah,
So
Mm.
yeah,
the status is external due to the product,
yeah,
but once you're a thrifting stylist, I have to give you the internal value first before I can represent why this matters to you.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, which is probably how I ended up being more into it, like identity, because I started out as a thrift stylist, and so
Mhm.
it's more about identity and like getting clear on like who you are and what you want to say, um, before establishing what it is that you want to wear. And I think that is really interesting that you brought up this whole idea about like the basketball jersey being more meaningful to you than like a row t-shirt. And so, and this is also something that's really interesting because like it's like you earned that jersey.
Yes,
And so, but like the row t-shirt is like that's something that you could just buy
yes,
and you couldn't
Mhm.
necessarily buy something. So it's like this whole idea of like what do clothes like actually mean and like their meaning to you in the context of your life. That I think that is like really missing from today's like style. Like there everybody's like into like aesthetics, like you know, like the quiet luxury aesthetic, but it's like what does that mean?
yeah. But it's okay for people to be wrong. That's the one thing I think is very important that I think I've learned over the years is that if you feel like someone's wrong, that means you're just redefining your taste of what is right.
Hmm.
Like anytime you get like a hate comment or someone who says something negatively to you, it's like, oh, that means I have an opinion, which is fair.
Hmm.
That's the way I interpret it. So,
Mm. Wow. That's really cool. I mean, you know, having like a point of view is like a lot of times people are afraid to have a point of view because they're afraid of like rocking the boat or like
mhm,
upsetting people and stuff. And so just like having something to say, I think no matter what you say, like somebody's gonna find they're gonna find a reason to like disagree with it.
yeah, it's only a problem if someone rocks the boat if you can't swim.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about the row garment might have high quality and we wanted to ask you about quality. So what should we actually be looking for in garments when it comes to quality, like fabric, construction, if we want pieces to stand the test of time? Or is it more about like what we just discussed? Like I'm curious what you think about like the actual, you know, quality should be in a garment.
I think self-care is the highest form of quality you could ever receive before purchasing a product. And why I say that is because there are some shirts that I've purchased from high school, from H&M, that I still have to this day. And that's not to say that I am the biggest enthusiast of the company, but I think something that we often misconstrue with quality and back to the thrift store versus a high-end luxury store is the level of detail that we give to actually taking care of the garment.
Mhm.
Because there's plenty of shirts that people, myself included, have bought from like a let me say Walmart or something, and you just throw it in the washer, you throw it in the dryer, you throw it on the ground, and then we question its quality. But then we purchase just for an example, a Burberry sweater, and we keep it on the same hanger we bought it on. It's perfectly in its plastic, and we dry clean it and we give it love that we think it deserves.
Mhm.
Well, I think that while yes, quality is differentiating from product, I think a big differentiator that is the gray area is how do you actually treat all the product? If you treat, do you treat all the products the same?
Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
And it's like surprising too, because like so many people don't know about clothing care that, they would spend the time to take care of like, or they would be like, oh, I'm going to take this sweater to the dry cleaners if it's a Burberry thing. But if it's like from like Uniqlo, they probably just throw it in the washing machine. And that's how people get the shrunken sweaters because of the felting. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like part of the quality is the be all end all is also like how you take care of it and how you integrate it into your life.
Yeah, because the quality of the human will determine the quality of the product. There's
Hmm.
people who shop luxury and still treat it like fast fashion.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
So there's no differentiating between the two if you're not a high quality person.
Hmm. Yeah. Or if you're like me, you run your clothes into the ground because you wear them all the time. It drives my husband crazy.
Yeah. Well, he
So,
loves you. He loves you for that.
oh yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, at the same time, I do keep things for a long time. Like I think like the only time I bought like a luxury bag was like a Proenza Schooler PS1, like
Mhm.
15 years ago, and I still have it. It still like holds up and stuff. Yeah, that was the only time I paid like full price for like a luxury bag, and like everything else I got like on sale or like I have a Louis Vuitton bag, but it's from my husband. He was a in the C-suite at a LVMH company, and they have this vault in Paris, and for the C-suite people to go shopping and getting things like 80% off. And so I got this like LV like locket bag for like 80% off. And so that's like I mean that's like a luxury bag, but I didn't pay full price for that.
But the story is what makes it a luxury bag for you. Never forget
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I
story.
mean, yeah, like nobody else can get. I always tell the story about it because like nobody, it's not like I got it at like any store. This is like a special store that only certain people are allowed to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what makes it special. And I'll never part with that bag because that's a special bag, even though it's just a regular black bag.
Hmm.
So, so yeah, I mean, I love this idea that you really think that the story is just equally like as important to a garment as like the quality and the designer and all of that.
Oh, 100%. The story is, if you can't tell the story, you can never explain the product.
Hmm.
That's the best way I like to look at it. There is no, I remember I first started off, everyone started with an Android phone. And like an Apple product, everyone who has one bombards you with the story, so much so that you open yourself up to getting an iPhone. And once you tell the story that you have an iPhone, you have now opened yourself up to a class of people who feel like they understand you better. But BlackBerry was a perfectly fine phone to my memory. If you any of you guys had it, please let me know if I'm wrong.
I had a before I had my iPhone, I had a Trio. Do you remember? You don't. You're probably too young, but do you remember those?
Yeah, I that's why it was fancy. I don't know. I had a razor.
And the Razor was the biggest phone.
Oh yeah, I had a flip phone.
Biggest
No,
I had a
phone.
pink razor, and
I
that
had a
was my phone.
Nokia. I had
Uh,
that Nokia brick.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember that thick, that fat? Yeah, that was my first phone.
but
Play
that was
Snake on
kind of
it.
like the precursor. That was kind of a smartphone, though. You could send emails on that.
Yeah. Oh, could you?
It had
Yeah,
like a
I guess you
keyboard on
could.
it, didn't it?
Yeah, you had to press the letters like many times to get the right letter.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not efficient, but yeah.
mm. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was so funny. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but it's interesting that you say that about like story like iPhones because like I have a background as a graphic designer and but back in the day like Apple was like all designers used Apple. So in terms of like story, I was already embedded in the Apple ecosystem, but so I never got an Android because like or I was just like no, of course I'm going to get Apple. Like everything I have is Apple. And so, but that's like a story. It's not,
Right.
Yeah, you align yourself with a kind of a group of people. You're like, well, I'm a graphic designer, so of course everything is Apple for me.
mhm.
Yeah,
And the
Yeah.
question was never, is the product better? The question was, am I a designer?
totally.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah,
different thing.
Totally different thing.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so, and now I kind of hate Apple. So, but I'm stuck. Like
yeah.
there's no hope. Like
Yeah.
there's no hope. Okay. So you had this a whole like video a while ago about like why people wanted luxury to be like the first or to be like the ones in the know and stuff. And I always think that's interesting because like, especially with the Walmart Birkin bag that happened like a while ago and people were talking about how like they just like the design of the Birkin and stuff
Mhm,
like that. And I was thinking like every time I talk to people, they say like I don't care about the status of something. I just like the design.
mhm.
And but I always feel like that's kind of bullshit.
Oh, everything is. That's the greatest part about life. But by the time, but the moment you figure it out, you're dead. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to your previous statement, all of us are finding some way, shape, or form to align to a community that allows us to authentically express ourselves, which is why it's so much easier to sell a $10,000 bag than it is to sell a $100 bag. Because if you're selling a $10,000 bag to someone who wants to buy a $10,000 bag, they're buying the opportunity to tell everyone else they paid $10,000 for a bag.
Hmm.
And that in certain rooms gives you more status, more affiliation to the people who you deem to be important.
Mm.
But if I sell you $100 bag, you are going to ask me every question in the world because you won't believe that you could align yourself to a bag that's $100 if it doesn't fit the actual qualifications of a great bag.
Mm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because if you're there's no story with the $100 bag.
Exactly.
There's no story unless it's in a vault in Paris. Like there's no story with the $100.
Yeah.
Well,
So
there could be a different story though. I mean, there could be like the story that like it reminds you of something from your childhood or it some way fit perfectly what you were looking for, but that's a totally very different type of story than kind of like advertising that like you fit into this kind of group of people that can afford a $10,000 bag. That's like a more nuanced story.
Correct. But the Walmart Birkin is such an interesting story, interesting case, because what happens when people are afraid to tell their opinions is that we all share the same understanding of it, but everyone's afraid to say it.
mhm,
So for the Walmart Birkin, it was one person basically coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm going to represent this community that no one has spoken a voice to, regardless if you agree with it, whether or not you think the Walmart Birkin is, whatever. It is clear and evident that there's a group of people who are no longer committed to playing that level of game anymore." And that's what the Walmart Birkin represents is people having the opportunity to have a voice. Whether or not you disagree with the bag is
mhm.
this or that.
And
See,
what is that voice saying?
mm,
The voice is saying there's a ton of people out there that no longer feel the need to be belittle themselves to a game like playing this roulette of getting a bag.
Mhm,
And something to that is just because I understand the game doesn't mean I agree with the game.
mhm,
Nor does that mean I want to play it.
mhm.
I understand why someone would want to be a dictator. It sounds great.
Mm.
Doesn't mean I
Until,
want you to be one.
yeah, until you end up in a hole in some place,
Yeah.
in a bunker
Yeah,
or
or
someplace.
like taking your cyanide pellet.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, like that's not the good part about being, that's what happens to them all. But like,
yeah.
but that's interesting though, this whole idea of like, I mean, it sounds like to me throughout like all of this, the theme is like how the stories like connect you to your community. And like that's something that I think that a lot of people kind of forget about fashion in this whole sense, like I just dress for myself or I just wear clothes for me. But it sounds like it's much more nuanced and layered than that.
Yes. Because I would bet you great money if we took the net worth of everyone who bought the Walmart Birkin bag and we took the net worth of everyone who has a real Birkin bag, it would probably be the same.
Mm.
Really? So you think people are like putting themselves in major debt to buy a Birkin bag rather than is that like if or are you saying like are I'm not sure what you're
I
saying.
know. I'll say the story because we're on this great podcast, uh, and I love you guys. The richest person I ever met had the fakest Birkin bag I've ever seen in my life. When I tell you, I saw the bag and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I was like, "There is no way." So then I'm talking to this person and I'm like, you know, like kind of like trying to understand like what the concept is. The richest person in the world and the person who probably has the least, they understand the world is just one big game. And they probably both have the exact same opinions, but they're just not in the same rooms to share it to each other. So
Mm.
she has millions upon millions and millions and assorted assets to billions of dollars. She understands life's a game.
Hmm.
Mm.
So there's no reason for her to play your game.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with anyone who bought the Walmart Birkin bag. I know people who have a significant net worth that have bought the Walmart Birkin bag
Mm.
because they are saying, I'm not playing the game anymore.
And they're just gonna, they have like other things that they want to spend their money on, not the, I actually don't like the design of the Birkin bag.
No, and that's part of the appeal of it is that you have to be so committed to a bag that is horribly designed for functionality that you're willing to say I'm making a stand on status alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing looks like a clusterfuck. It's like that latch thing with the straps and like the
Yeah,
thing like that does not look like something that I would want to like for lack of a better term, I wouldn't want to fuck with that bag. Like it's just like it just seems like it's like hanging open with all the like the things like flying all over the place, and then it just looks like that you can't put it on your shoulder. It's like you
it
have to hook it
only
on your
sits on your
arm,
forearm.
Yeah,
and
It
it
you
looks like heavy, and like I just am like, why? Like I don't get this bag.
status.
It's
yeah,
status.
It reminds me of have either of you read the book Crazy Rich Asians?
no, but I heard of it.
I saw the movie.
I think you would really, I mean, you both would really enjoy it because it's got a lot of fashion, fashion and people dropping just like tons of money, but also the richest women who he writes about, they all go to this super secret counterfeit bag place to shop where you have to go through like two different doors and like no one can know that you're there. And then there's all these like counterfeit bags because even though they're billionaires, they're not going to spend their money on a $30,000 bag.
Yeah, like I believe if you're a billionaire, you know the game is rigged. That's how you won.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
By understanding it, how it works.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have
And
a
there's a
friend who's a jewelry designer, and she was saying like the toughest client she ever had was a billionaire and would always really like haggle her for like every little thing to like get the price down. And then she's like, "What? You have so much money." She goes like, "Well, how do you think I got this much money?"
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and people who don't have money, how do you think they didn't have any money?
it's just like
Same thing.
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so true,
Yeah.
so true.
we talked like talking about status, but then when you ask people if they want status, they almost always say no. So what's like, why do people just feel so strongly that they need to deny that what they actually want?
Because if they were to admit, that would mean that they would have to actually have acceptance to the role that we all play in the world. We think of it. Money is one of the craziest concepts. Like I think if anyone was like frozen from like, the ice, like a caveman, and he came to the society, he would ask us, why are you working for money? And he would have no understanding of why we do it. Because we've all agreed in society that this is the game that we're going to play.
Yeah,
And everything from inflation to the value of your house is all of us just agreeing.
totally.
I think that's what it is. A house
Yeah.
in Manhattan versus a house in Texas, it could be the same house, but you don't have the same status depending on where the house is.
I mean, it's all story. It's all story. It's all like made up. It's all this like it's everything is made up. Like everything in our reality
Yeah,
is completely made up. And so
yeah.
and I also think that that's really interesting because like, I think in terms of why people feel so disconnected with their wardrobes is because they're not really clear with themselves about what their story is and like what they want out of a wardrobe. And so, and for me, with my personal style, like I've really had to put it under a microscope ever since I started talking about personal style online. I didn't have it figured out before I started talking about it. And so I've been on this whole journey and I feel like my styles really kind of come together not by like identifying like what my three style words are or
Mhm.
like or any of that, but more like identifying like who I want it to be.
Yeah,
And so, and that is like a story, basically. Like, who is this character? Who is this person that I want to be? And how do I want to tell that story with my clothes? And so,
yeah.
yeah.
The highest form of style you can have is self-love. I genuinely, truly, truly believe that. And I think your story is almost even a testament to that. I think sometimes we all get caught up in the outward appearance of feeling stylish, but if you can't find it in yourself to accept that you deserve to love what you have first, there's no foundation to build anything on.
Mhm. Yeah. And to see yourself.
Yeah,
Because like so many people can't see themselves. Like I was talking just the other day with a woman who was saying like, "Oh my gosh, like I've put on so much weight. I don't look good in anything." And then I get on the call with her and like she's my size. And I'm
yeah,
like,
Wow.
I was almost like, we need to do mindset work because like this is not there's things stop blocking you from accepting that self-love that you're talking about. And so and like and if you don't have that if you don't know how to love yourself then you're not going to and I'm not saying like whatever size you are because like I work with women who are like of all sizes, from like 5X to like 00 and like and everything in between and they all look fabulous. And so,
mhm,
and like the thing that makes them look fabulous is that self-love,
yeah,
which is like, and you can get that at any price point.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to see though why it's difficult for especially for women to have that self-love because we're told from every angle that we should change, that what we actually are isn't probably is not good enough, and like you're getting old and you're gaining weight and you should use this product to change all of that. And so I think it's understandably very difficult for women to accept,
Mhm,
who they are and where they are at this moment in time. But it's a worthy endeavor to get there.
mhm.
Mhm.
And sometimes just because I hear you doesn't mean I have to understand you.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, like, I believe your human brain can only process so many things. So never waste it processing something that you have no intention of being a part of. So like you we've talked about earlier, I tried to limit my screen time to only process information that I have any interest to be processing
Mm.
because information is constantly being fed at all of us for a multitude of things. And that doesn't mean that the information is for you,
Mm.
you know?
That's really hard for me to do because every single time I go on Instagram, I'm like, oh, I'm looking for this certain thing, or I want to send somebody a message, and then I get fed like the cutest dog I've ever seen. And I'm like, then I'm looking at dogs for 20 minutes and damn it, what was I here for to begin with?
No,
So
yeah,
it's
I
really
hear you.
hard.
Yeah. The algorithms understand the human mind, but
Yeah.
the downside to the algorithm is that you give them the ability to matter.
Mm.
So without us, they have no data to mine.
Hmm.
AI is only as smart as we are.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope. I hope that's
Right?
true.
Yeah.
Like, fingers crossed.
Yeah. As long as they keep that thing where they AI forgets everything once they learn it, they forget. I don't know. I feel like AI is like so like a goldfish. Like,
Like, and I actually think there's going to be so much value in people who don't use AI because you'll have the ability to communicate to a human as a human being. Like, have you ever ran into someone's business and it's so clear that they use AI and you just feel like almost so distant from the business. You're like, this doesn't even feel like I'm connecting to something. Like,
mm.
have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, I have to say that I do use like AI, but like, yeah, I no, I hear you on that. If you just like trust AI to like do everything, to do all of the thinking for you, that's what happens, and for sure and stuff like. But I think that there is like nuance to the conversation in a sense that, if you know how to use it and you don't expect the AI to do your thinking, but to do be like kind of more like your amplifier in a sense.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like because like I don't think that I think that nothing can you can't outsource your thinking. Your thinking has to be there. You are the only person who could think like you, right? And like nothing, and that's what people connect with is like the way that people think, right?
And that's also sort of speaks to creativity. I don't think that AI can really be creative in a meaningful way, at least not yet, because like it can't connect the dots. Like
Mm-mm.
it can give you, it can spew facts, but like it can't connect the dots to create something really new, original, interesting that's gonna like draw people in. I don't think it can do that yet
Yeah.
anyway.
I
Yeah.
mean, at least not now. But yeah, I mean, that's like, but that's like a whole other
Yeah,
conversation.
it's a whole another tornado.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't forget to talk about your bag.
Oh my
No,
God, I cannot believe it's almost like an hour is up. This is like the fastest hour
that's
of
Ever.
ever. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh
I
my,
I
I just
loved
looked
it.
at the
know.
clock and was like, holy smokes.
Yeah. So your bag, you have a bag line. Tell us, like, what inspired this design and like who do you envision carrying it?
My what inspired the design is creating a product that has no um, limited shelf life to the people who want to experience premium products. So, for example, we can all remember a bag that we once craved 5 years ago, and we look at it now and like, I could never wear that today just because it doesn't work with my lifestyle. So I figured I wanted to make every bag that I think women could carry for a very long time and make it with no limitations to cutting any corners possible.
Mm.
Because personally, I don't believe that women have to diminish themselves to receive luxury. That sounds counterintuitive to me. You have to buy 10,000 scarves, 10,000 t-shirts, and then just maybe if I like you enough, I may offer you something that you never even wanted to buy in the first place. Sounds redundant to me. So I wanted to make a bag for people who like that, and that's how we got here.
That's so cool. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like a really like, because you market it towards like moms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And specifically to moms, because if you're in your 20s, you still believe you can beat the game. And that's okay. That's what being in your 20s is for. And if you're in your 30s, I felt like maybe you feel like you're winning in the game. So I'll give you some time to buy the things that you feel like give you the affiliation status that you want. But if you're a mom and you understand the game is already rigged, I've already solved the game for you, and here's the product that gives you that opportunity.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a really interesting train of thought. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I just like I love this idea too. I mean, because I remember when I was a new mom, like I carried like I had my PS1 that was like my favorite bag at the
No.
time. And my son is like 12 now. So it's like and like I used my PS1 as a diaper bag. Like that was like my diaper bag. And so
Coolest
Yeah.
mom.
yeah, part the coolest. Yeah, the cool mom. Yeah. So, I mean, I was, but yeah, he was a, like I was pretty like not gonna do the whole like mom thing necessarily, like with the diaper warmers or what do they call it? The wipe warmers? I don't
Oh
know. There's
yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like all of those kinds of things. So yeah, and so like you work with a lot of millennial clients, like you're the millennial stylist, and so
Yeah.
like we're both Gen X, so we're kind of out of that range
Uh-huh.
necessarily. But I just think it's interesting, like as the millennials like enter midlife, because the millennials are in their 40s now.
Yes.
So what shifts have you noticed how this generation approaches luxury and fashion, especially as they move into midlife?
The biggest shift is that they're now beginning to understand that you could be wrong and that's okay. I think with the constant increases, the constant things that happen around in the world, it's okay to not have to associate yourself with a product that you don't believe in.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of millennials are starting out to do that with saying, hey, I have kids, I have bigger responsibilities. Does that mean that I need to whittle myself down to buy a $7,000 bag in 2025? I don't think I need to. But that bag that does solve my problems exists, and I'm going to find that bag.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. And that's I mean, I think that's interesting how like different generations approach like the different but I read somewhere that the older millennials and the Gen X are like the biggest groups of luxury consumers and stuff
Hmm.
right at this time. So like we consume like over half of luxury products is like these like two demographics. And so
Well,
um
that maybe that's where the most earning power is, because you're at sort of the peak of your career and you want to kind of perpetuate that status. Like you've got the career, you want to have the stuff to go with it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And in Gen Z, they have so much attention being thrown at them that they're competing with, all of us are competing with the TikTok of people's attention span. So they may not be even focused on getting a new bag or getting those things. But I always wanted to say, everyone wants to be Carrie Bradshaw, but no one ever questions what's Carrie Bradshaw's mom's closet look like. Because
Yeah.
that's the real answer.
Yeah. Did we ever see her mom in the show? No, I
yeah, did
don't
she
think
ever
so.
even talk about her mom?
No.
No,
What the heck? That's
Yeah.
so
because
strange. I never thought of that
because
before.
yeah, she's trying to win the game, and that's okay. Keep
Mhm.
pushing on, Carrie.
And
You're gonna
also,
win.
how did she buy all that stuff on a freelance writer's salary? That's also my question. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
that's just not going to happen.
yeah, the great
That was a different
financier.
generation. A different
Yeah.
generation. Oh my God, it's so
Well,
crazy.
she was selling her clothes on Facebook Marketplace at the time. So
Right.
Yeah, before Facebook. No, it was Craigslist because it was before Facebook Marketplace existed.
yeah,
Before we go, I want to know like let's leave people with something like really practical. So Someone wanted to invest in just three things to elevate their wardrobe today. What would you tell them to prioritize?
A great husband. No, I would I would tell them to prioritize. Oh, this is a great question. Something I was even thinking of. If they wanted to have a great wardrobe, three things to prioritize. I would say something that you could see yourself using every single day of the week. So that may be a different item for many people, but I actually think if you wear a belt every day and you get the greatest belt ever, that's going to mean so much more for you than buying a top coat that you're only going to wear 2 months of the year if you live in
Mhm.
Hawaii, whatever. So find a product that you wear 7 days of the week and buy one that allows you to truly feel like you deserve a premium product because you're going to wear it for 7 days in a week. I'd say that's one. So that could be different for everyone. Two, I would say invest in finding a way to first believe that you deserve these three products. So if that means better self-care, which maybe for me it's like Dr. Bronner's. To me, that's like luxury. I'm like, oh dude, this is my favorite soap. Like I just got it in. So I'd
Love
say
that.
something that allows you to feel like you deserve love. That could be a certain product, something that you wear 7 days of the week. And I'm just gonna be biased and say a great handbag. I'm just gonna be biased and be that person.
Yeah. Handbags can sometimes, like with my clients who can't really wear clothes because they're like dealing with something like a chronic illness or something. And like sometimes I tell them, just like get like a really nice handbag
Mm.
and and a nice pair of earrings or something like that. And like or a nice necklace or some like two like little small things can do like even if you're wearing like sweatpants and a sweatshirt can really level up your outfits. And so don't underestimate a good handbag.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or even going to a great restaurant. Something so allowing yourself to accept the opportunity that you deserve something is so valuable.
Hmm. Yeah.
Go to the restaurant, go to a spa day. Don't even worry about if they do a great job. Just go about accepting that you deserve this opportunity. And so much more will change after that. So
Yeah. The
So
confidence
important.
of self-love. So,
yeah.
so cool.
I
Well,
love
where
that.
can people find you?
You can find me exclusively, I'm just gonna say on Instagram, so your brain rot of TikTok doesn't start. Style by Wale, StyleBywale. And we always have a ton of fun in there, always something to chat about. So I can't wait to see you guys, many of you guys that are in there. And I'm so happy that we're doing this. We have been musicians for quite some time, so this has been a lot of fun.
So cool. Thank you so much for coming.
So
Thank you for
great. Yeah,
having me.
thank you so much. What an awesome conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.